Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And hey, I'm a socialist. That just means I'm pro equality, pro union. I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. How to help the missus feed the animals today. As we usually do, though. And it's also Sunday. Now, the difference between this show and other shows that you've ever listened to, we don't actually use the music. I just share the link and say, hey, the opening song for this show is Edwin Starr's War. There's a link in the chat. And all you do is click that link if you're in the YouTube chat. Oh, by the way, TikTok, we're live on YouTube as well. Except you can actually click the links that I post in the chat. If you'd like, you can go up here, click on my profile. There's two links, one to my YouTube, one to Clapper, which is our backup to TikTok. In the almost certain, almost certain to happen, we'll say something stupid, get banned. Let's see what's going on Sunday morning. Should be a relatively easy show. I was perusing a little bit and wasn't necessarily like blown away with my choices. Um, I think we're probably going to have to talk about Bernie Sanders' couple events um, in the last 24 to 48 hours. 36,000 people saw he and AOC. I believe that was on Friday. And then I'm pretty sure yesterday he made an appearance at Coachella, which is massive. Okay. So he's getting a little bit exposure here. And obviously, I'm a fan of Bernie. So, if anything, I'm downplaying it. And I saw an article this morning talking about how Donald Trump's approval rating among young people is plummeting, and I welcome them to the resistance. We're gonna need young people too. Okay. Yeah. This article from the New Republic. Okay. Morning, Ange, Tina, Cece. It's part of the reason that I was quick to make a daily live podcast where we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're where these kids are, right? Talking about the news, talking about what's going on, what's actually happening, and not sensationalizing anything. I don't think I've um, sensationalized anything here. I think we're pretty running down a straight and narrow. Jared, I heard a Social Security worker was dragged away from her desk. That's insanity. Let's look it up. Bang. Story from Yahoo. Doge goons physically drag Social Security worker from desk. A senior executive at the Social Security Administration was physically dragged from his office this week after clashing with the Department of Government Efficiency, according to the Washington Post. Greg Pierre, a career civil servant who led an IT team working on the agency's data systems, was removed over his opposition to a Doge plan to cut off immigrants from key financial services. This scheme, cooked up by Elon Musk's Doge Squad, falsely lists thousands of migrants as dead in a Social Security database known as the Death Master File. Being entered into the death database cuts a person off from crucial financial services like the ability to receive government benefits and access a bank account or credit card. Hey, what the fuck? The goal was to push migrants who were granted a temporary legal status under former President Joe Biden to self-deport. So, somebody said, in order to resist, we need to focus on one thing and one thing only. And I think that's wrong, actually. I disagree with you. So, no, that's incorrect. So you would have everyone stop protesting at Tesla dealerships on Saturdays. In exchange for what? See, you're already lost. You lost. You don't have. Okay, well, here's the problem, Bulldog. There's no illegal immigrants on stolen land. So, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. Not ever gonna be something I say. That can be something you say, but I have empathy. And so just hand them the clipboard, bro. Like, help them. That's what you should be doing. hmm Instead, you're like, fucking deport their asses. Oh, back to their third world country where they shall surely die. I hope nothing bad ever happens to you. I'd hate for you to feel a lack of empathy from other people. Oh, the cruelty is the point. That is absolutely not true. That's so harmful. Here, blocked. It's not. I've never understood that. Never understood that. Um, I can say it with a lot of confidence. I know a lot of people that live in the southwest part of the United States, particularly along the US-Mexico border, and you know what they'll tell you? Over time, the quality of life has degraded so much in the United States and improved so much in Mexico that more people like emigrate into Mexico. Hope that helps. They're not really like, nobody's really trying to get in here. Okay. I think we're starting to see a tide shift. Somebody said in the comments something about Supreme Court holding the Trump administration in contempt for their failure to deliver Kilmar Garcia. They did, however, confirm that he's alive. I saw that yesterday, and all I could think was, you got to make it happen. Now you got to make it happen. You got to get him home now. Um, it's just not a, it's not a good look. This is an increasingly worrying situation. Um, I can again also say, if Kilmar Garcia perishes, it's it's disaster for Donald Trump. And again, I remember I told you this. One person. It's a matter of national security. If one American dies internationally, it's a matter of international security. Yeah, that happened yesterday. I posted it in the. I thought I posted it in the Discord. Hey, they found Kilmar Garcia's alive. Okay. So yeah, one of the things that you'll never hear me getting hyped up about is immigration, because I have a background in data and analysis from Purdue University. So that means that I can understand math, and immigration's decreasing. It's going like this. It's going down. Like nobody wants to be here. Are you fucking dumb? That's what I can't figure out. Like, nobody wants to fucking come here. We exported all the fucking low paying factory jobs to China. Nobody's immigrating here and taking their jobs. I mean, they are, but like at a very low level. And especially not during this administration. Who the fuck, like, you voted for this? You see how they're fucking treating people, and you're like, immigration's horrible. Look at all these illegal immigrants. It's like, where are they? It's your administration. Think about how horribly this administration treats people of color, and it's like, you really think people are pouring over the border for this shit show? You really believe that with your whole chest? Like, I could understand that during Joe Biden's administration, or during Barack Obama's time in office. They're just pouring over. It's so typical, right? But you won. How the fuck are you winning? You won, and immigration's still an issue? I thought y'all had it. Huh? And like I said, I got a lot of friends that live in the southwest part of the United States, and they're like, dude, poor people are more likely to immigrate to fucking Mexico than them come our way. What the fuck are you talking about? And that's because of the decrease in the quality of life in the United States and the increase in quality of life in Mexico. Again, some of us are actually capable of nuanced thought, and I know some of you dildos are binary as fuck, where it's this way or the fucking highway, and that is not how that works. Okay? So I know that in your little rat brain, you think America is the greatest country in the world and everyone wants to be here, and therefore our borders are flooded with immigrants. Our border towns and cities are flooded with them. That's not even fucking close to accurate. So, newsflash, nobody likes you. You know what I mean? Like, America, baby girl, you ain't got no friends right now. So what the fuck are you talking about? Immigration's an issue. Jesus Christ. Measles outbreak passes 700 fucking. Did y'all see they sent RFK Jr. to fucking Texas over this measles outbreak, and he literally went to a podium and was like, yeah, vaccines. So there's from the AP. Measles cases surpasses 700 with outbreaks in 6 states. Oh, and Indiana, Indiana joined as one of the states with an outbreak. An outbreak is 3 or more cases. New Mexico, Indiana, Kansas, Ohio, and Oklahoma. Okay. Morning, Dubs, Crystal, Angie. Mm-hmm. Got a nice little 60 pack on TikTok. So, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room, which is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. I'm co-streaming this. So not only are you yahoos here on TikTok, but we've also got another package of people chilling in the chat room on YouTube. So you aren't alone. I'm here every morning. Okay. I'm keep in mind I'm socialist, so I'm far fucking left. But one of the things that you'll realize, I'm anti-violence. I was in the Marine Corps infantry. Usually, I'm wearing a second Mardiv hat. Good to go. And I'm anti-violence. And the reason is that this is a war of attrition. We have a numbers problem. We're trying to grow. How do you do that? Well, you keep everyone alive. Okay. And so you need to get 8 hours of sleep a night. You also probably need a nap. So, as much as you got told when you were young that you can sleep when you die, turns out not a great lifestyle. So, if you would, for the next, let's do this for the next week or so. Let's try to get in bed and get 8 hours of sleep a night. Okay? And then, like I said, if you got the time, take a nap during the day. And then, hey, you need to drink more water. Stop drinking all that other bullshit. Okay? If you're going to do that, you might as well eat right. And one of the things that I learned, it's actually kind of funny. The older I get, the more I want the kind of stuff in my body that comes in a salad, and I reach for it. And I didn't do that when I was young. I'm still a burger and fry guy, right? A pizza guy. Like I'm a normal person like anybody else, right? But the older I get, the more I naturally want to eat healthy because I don't want to feel like shit. You know, I'm gonna have some energy today. I don't want to feel like tired all day. So if I can do anything with my platform, it's advocate for a healthy lifestyle. I think that's the cleanest message that I could have, right? Get good rest, hydrate, eat right, exercise. Okay? I'm a football coach. I can coach football, basketball, I can coach wrestling, I coach track and field. Um, in fact, I recently interviewed for a head coach at a very small high school in Northwest Indiana. That would require my wife and I to sell our house and move, and I'm about that life. So if you think I wouldn't totally pack up and move, oh, I wouldn't in a heartbeat. I'd be the best thing that ever happened to a town. Okay. So, like I said, advocate for a healthy lifestyle, mostly as a control what you can control. right? A lot of people have reached out and said, "Hey man, I'm old, I'm disabled, I'm broke, I live out in the fucking boonies. How do I get involved in the resistance?" Okay? And the first thing that I would tell you is you have to get off of Meta tools. Period. Okay? Get rid of Facebook, Threads, Instagram. Get Messenger off of your phone. We don't talk about it often enough, but because we've got quite a bit of people today, I want to talk about why you need to get rid of Messenger real quick. So don't run away if you've heard all this stuff before. I need your ear, okay? The reason you want to get Messenger off of your phone is because when you download that application, you got to give it permission to have access to your microphone and camera. Hey, they can access your microphone and camera when you don't have the app open and you're not in your phone. That sounds pretty invasive. It's because it is. Also, they will totally give your location away to ICE. Pretty much all I had to say there. And then also, which again, I would argue them giving your location to fucking law enforcement's awful, but also they take the context out of your conversations and they use the words that you're using, the conversations you're having to influence the algorithm on all those other applications, which I would call super duper fucking invasive. Okay? So I don't know about you, but I don't have to be told much when it comes to how do I participate in a resistance. The very people that are oppressing you, that paid for this regime, own your social media sites, your Facebook threads, IG, Messenger, WhatsApp, Twitter, right? And again, I would argue that Elon Musk showed his fucking hand, okay? And that is a shitty hand. Elon Musk is absolutely the fucking reason that the Social Security Administration moved all its communications to Twitter. Okay? 100%. The reason that happened is because Twitter's in fucking trouble. Okay? I'm expecting, because this is my clientele, okay? Some of the people over, some percentage of people over 65, they're not using a smartphone. There's a percentage of people over 65 in the United States that they don't do email. They don't do text. They're not downloading an application. They're not getting on the internet and getting on a website to get information about their social security shit. Okay? So understand, yes, it's fucking harmful that this happened, that they moved communications off platform. But understand that what I had talked about yesterday was don't even sweat. There's going to be mirrors, which are people taking the information posted on Twitter and posting it on other sites. We call them alts, okay? I don't know who you are. We call them alts, right? So the U.S. Forest Service is a good follow, but also the alt SSA or rogue SSA. Yeah, most of them use the Jitterbug phone from AARP. Yeah, that didn't have nearly the uptake you thought it would. Um, very rarely have I ever talked to somebody with one, but probably for good reason, as they're not doing business. But Jesus. Hmm. So yeah, I think it's obviously super harmful to move to a different platform. But here's what I will say: your grandma's still using Facebook, so there will be an alt or a rogue SSA that'll get all that information on Facebook. So don't worry about that. But what I would say is, hey, look forward to whole government organizations moving their communications to a specific platform. So don't act like that's not about to happen for Facebook, that's not about to happen for some other site, YouTube or something. Okay? Um I'm on Blue Sky, okay? I don't get on I'm more than happy to tell you you can search for me just about on any social media site, and I've probably got a profile. But if you look at my activity, I'm not on social media. Not I literally went to school and got a degree in social media because I was a fucking lurker for the longest time. And on dead ass, I got a degree in graphic design with a focus on social media, right? I I got a degree from thank you GI Bill to make fucking memes. That's what I literally went to school for. And what did it get you, Jared? You ask, right? What did you get out of that? I got fucking shadow banned by Elon Musk in like a long time ago. I was a thorn in that motherfucker's side before all this shit. Okay, he completely blanked my account. I had like 6,000 followers, and for Indiana, that's a lot on fucking Twitter. And I tussled with Elon Musk too much, and he fucking. Went in one day and I had no followers, and all my posts were gone. And I was like, what the fuck? And I tried to regrow my shit, but I'm not. The thing about it is, I'm not that dedicated to it. I'm one of those people like you are what you consistently do well, right? Social media, specifically like posting on social media, it always felt like a job. It doesn't it never felt like fun. I wasn't having fun. I got to be enjoying myself. Otherwise, we're in for a rough ride, okay? Oh, bull. He did it to me twice, Mr. H. I had 6,000 followers. I was a growing account. I was a Vox Media employee for 6 years covering the Indianapolis Colts under the Stampede Blue banner. That's why you see it in the background on YouTube, because I had a podcast. I made a weekly video. I wrote about fantasy football. I wrote about um, daily fantasy. I wrote about gambling because gambling had just become legal in Indiana. Um, Nobody gave a shit. It was great. Nobody gave a shit. It was like I was undercover, right? I've never been attention seeking or fame seeking. That was never the goal. Fortunately, I think for everyone, I'm not a capitalist, right? So when I go out like and I do stand up comedy in 2016, there's about a year where my wife and I went off. We went on the same nights. We went on off nights. We went and did stand up comedy. Um, that video, that content got scrubbed off YouTube. I had 6 videos of 6-minute sets. My wife and I, we were on our fucking way, by the way. But I'm not a capitalist. I'm not the kind of person to get involved in something and immediately see it as a competition for your future in comedy. And then the shitty part about comedy is it's like when you do well, oh, hey, now do you want to travel to this city that's not that important to you and you do your shit and it's free, it's for free. You're not a headliner, you're not even an opener, you're just getting some spot minutes. Not I don't really want to do that, right? You want to go travel an hour or two away and go do an open mic? No. I live here. I could just get up here in Indy. Oh, that's not going to help grow your brand. And it was like, I don't want to do this. I definitely don't want to do that. I don't want to be having to travel all over. I'm not getting paid just to get up on stage and make an idiot out of myself. You know what I mean? They did the same shit to my wife. And it was just like, my wife is really funny. Like, legitimately a smart, funny person. She's not the kind of person that you could force into like comedy competition. She's not that kind of person. She's just fucking funny, right? So it was really heartbreaking, but I mean it's just the way it is. Like I found Magic the Gathering when I came home from the Marine Corps. I was really bored. I was tired of going out and getting drunk all the time and trying to get laid. You know what I mean? Like I was just tired of that rigmarole. And I found Magic the Gathering, a whole community of people, right? I thought it was just going to be fun. I thought you were just going to meet up on Fridays, play cards for a little bit, and then go get some beers. You know what I mean? It wasn't that. What happened? Well, after a while, you realize that most of the people showing up to play Magic most consistently are competitive. And so those are the people you become friends with. Then they're dragging you with them on the weekend to go drive somewhere, pay money to play in an event with not really good financial incentive to do that. Again, it had been capitalized to the point where people would drive all over, pay money with no expectation of pay to play this game, Magic the Gathering. And again, if you are a Magic the Gathering fan now and it feels like it's overwhelming and there's too much going on in the Magic Gathering space, it's called capitalism and it fucking sucks the soul out of absolutely motherfucking everything. And I sold my collection. For the record, I credit Magic the Gathering with why I'm still here. But I had to get away from that space. Okay? But yeah, Mr. H said, I thought they couldn't do that to an account. Yeah, they did it to me. Elon Musk did it to me twice. And I had people contacting me being like, hey, I can't find you on Twitter and shit. So yeah, I had a tussle with Elon. He and I have already, because my thing is I hate to be this guy, but I am this person. Okay? There are fake smart people and actual smart people, and nothing pisses me off more than fake smart people. Do you get what I'm saying? Like when you hear someone speaking and you're like, "Oh shit, they're dumb as fuck." Ah, god damn it. And they're like in charge? Oh, we are all fucked. Yeah, that's how I feel when I watch Elon Musk talk. And when it comes to Trump. Yeah. Donald Trump isn't even he's there's nothing savant about him. It's just all idiot, right? The thing about Elon Musk is he has idiot savant written all over him. A lot of people used to misappropriate idiot savant onto Joe Rogan, and that's not fucking true. Um, yeah, a lot of idiot, not a lot of savant. That would aptly describe this entire administration. There ain't a lot of brainy shit going on with this fucking administration. And when I say there's not a lot, there's not a fucking iota. Like there's nothing I can point at. Okay, let's do this. Let's have this little fun thought experiment for a fucking Sunday morning. Can you think of something good these fucks have done yet? Like, can you think of fucking? Is there anything these idiots have done where you're like, yeah, that was actually a good idea. Should have done that a long time ago. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we're sitting here saying making 150 million fucking acres of U.S. forest fucking loggable. No, Don, not a great idea. Like I, I don't think you want to increase fucking forestry, logging. Sorry, you know what I mean? Yeah, and understand that they're doing this to keep you from protesting. They're doing all these things to demoralize you. That's part of what is happening here. It's meant to freeze you up and make it so you're afraid to leave your fucking house. They want you to stay home. They want us divided up. Hey, Greg, since you brought it up, there's no God, and when you die, you're fucking worm food. Enjoy. Oh, I like this poster, by the way. Yep, forests and parks. Make sure you get out and visit forests and parks. Yeah, well, I mean, Crystal, that was part of. Uh, Remember, Elon Musk was talking about stepping down from Doge like a week or two ago. Prayers are what they prayers are for the fool who dared survive. Right? A lot of people, I'm guessing a lot of you did not grow up in a library. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you didn't read a lot of poetry as a child. You didn't read a lot of literature that was not the fucking Bible. You should have read more books. There's so many good books. All the books they're trying to ban, man, that's tough. You should have read those. Actually, they were part of a recommended reading list when we were growing up. But we're not in prayers are acceptable environment. We're in an action is the only reaction acceptable. And so what I'm asking of you, especially while I have 80 fucking people watching me, go on Reddit and I want you to voice if you feel the same way I do. If you feel the same way I do, okay? That continuing mass protest is the correct answer here. Okay? I'm taking my days off. I'm switching my schedule around. Okay? April 19th, next Saturday, needs to be a fucking protest. Every state capital, it needs to be bigger than what happened on the 5th, and we need to get louder and bigger every time we leave our houses. And if we're not in that attitude, if you're not thinking about who can I drag with me next time, if you're not getting on the fucking internet and getting the word out, y'all need to get on Protest Finder USA and R50501 and whip them people in shape and say, get off your asses. This is not a time to get down. There's too many people organizing protests that are doing so for free, and it's a thankless fucking job. And I've tried to tell people, as someone that regularly has an audience of people that come in and watch, I don't get paid to be here. I do this because I think it's a valuable service. Do you understand? Like, how many people do you know regularly command an audience of 100 people talking about the fucking news, right? Nobody's watching mainstream media anymore, right? This show should do nothing but fucking grow because at the bare minimum, we're talking about what is actually happening out here. At the bare minimum. You don't hear me talking fluff, right? And that's one of the things I see when I look around, right? It makes it very difficult to take in other people's fucking content because other people are not reading the fucking room, right? I heard that someone that set up, and I'm not trying to name names, and I don't think I need to do that. Okay. There was a protest organizer that is not organizing protests because the job didn't pay and it was too many hours. And again, when it comes to the resistance, when I watched Star Wars, nobody was getting paid. So, I mean, do you see? I don't know if you saw Star Wars as like the capitulation of what like humans are capable of in terms of like good versus evil. I know that not a lot of people are ready for Star Wars philosophy, so we'll probably have to ease into that. Because again, I'm not religious. Um, But if you think about the level of gear and technology that they had when you watch Star Wars, you realize that they had a higher level of gear and technology than we have access to, right? They had fucking spaceships and shit, and they could teleport and fucking lightsabers and fucking laser guns and shit, right? They had a level of technology we don't have. So that's clearly an advanced fucking species, probably they say like a long time ago, but it's actually like it's far in the fucking future by the time you get there, right? That would be like the edge of civilization or like the tippy tip top of it anyway. And so when you think about that whole fucking Star Wars saga, nobody's getting a paycheck or paying for shit unless they're in the bar. So do you understand? The whole of Star Wars is about the resistance, right? The bad guys. Maybe we should be better prepared when we talk about this. Yeah, yeah. I think we need to like ease into this. The whole of Star Wars is an oppressive regime versus a resistance. I know that that is a complicated thought process because people see it as robots versus humanoids. It's just a story. Okay. A lot of people fail to connect the dots. They were at the height of civilization. Look at their level of technology. They were far beyond what we're capable of. There's so much exacted justice. A lot of it masked as violence, but you understand like the level of technology we are at there where you're able to I mean it was like a western. I don't know if anybody picked that vibe up off of Star Wars. It's like a western actually. But I say all of that shit to say like nobody was getting fucking paid. They were fucking flying across the galaxy as fucking stowaways and exacting fucking revenge physically. It was I need a 50 and a fucking cab ride or otherwise I'm off it, right? Was not fucking part of this, right? My thing is that people don't understand that the best and most important work you will ever do is fucking thankless. I guess people just don't realize that yet. The best and most important work you will ever do is absolutely motherfucking thankless. And so I need the people in my audience that are motivated by me, that are like, fuck yeah, Jared, I'm hearing what you're saying. It's your time. It's your time to pick it up and say, I'll organize the protest. We need to do this where I am. And a day of action's not enough. That's not ramping up. It's not more frequent protests. I've been saying it. Hey, there were two big protests in fucking March. There are 3 in April, the 5th, the 19th, and the 30th. Now, the problem I had with the one on the 30th in Washington, D.C. is that this is a big ass country with like 350 fucking million people, and we're spread out all over the fucking country. You cannot have a single city protest. You're not understanding your audience is poor. 2/3 of all Americans live paycheck to paycheck and cannot afford to just fucking get to DC. That's not how it works. So we have to have continued, ramped up, in person, nonviolent protest. And if you're not going to fucking do that, get it the fuck out of the way. Get somebody in there that's their mentality. That, we did 2 in March, right? And they added for April Tesla takedowns on Saturdays. So understand, technically, we went from 2 protests in fucking March to 7 in April. So for everybody, yeah, the thing that I've noticed is like I'm poor. So I'm not sitting here as like a rich person being like, this is how you defeat us. Like, I'm poor too. So what I think that they're not thinking about is that most Americans do not have it like that. Yeah. I am protesting actually, John. Sorry, I blacked out there for a minute. Blocked. Um, Kimberly Crawford. Thank you. Have a good day. To understand, not everybody can just get to the other side of the country, right? And you'll notice, like, I don't tell people to come to me, right? Or I don't tell people to come to Indy. I'm not trying to push or pull. I'm saying you could do this in your fucking driveway. You could just make a sign and put it up in your yard. I know that I am part of the 50501 here in Indy, whether they want me to be part of it or not. I'm not really happy with the sort of conversations I was having with the locals. If you remember recently, who, who's saying that though? Who just walks into a room and is like, no one's losing rights? The fuck are you talking about? Blocked. Okay. So the reason that I would be protesting right now is because of Kilmar Garcia's treatment by the Department of Justice, the Trump administration, and anyone in the process of his handling. Yep. I would protest that specifically. Also, the SAVE Act passed the House, and it would effectively render about 70 million women unable to vote unless they change their last name or get a passport. Which, again, I just talked about how it's kind of awkward to have protest in one city in the United States, because I don't think that factors in the fact that everyone's living paycheck to paycheck and doesn't have it like that, right? Like, I want whatever your day of action is for next Saturday where you live. For me in Indy, it's a food drive, right? I'm about it. That's part of building community, is understanding and meeting basic needs, right? So, hey, if you live in Indiana and you're like, I don't see a protest, I don't know what to do. Well, bring your goddamn protest energy, okay? And there's a fucking food drive right where the protests have been next Saturday. I will fucking be there, okay? The thing that agitates the fuck out of me is that this somehow implies I'm supposed to like get food to that address. Okay? So if you, oh, I just figured this out. if you want to send uh, food for this food drive, so think of like canned food, 200 West Washington, Indianapolis, Indiana, next Saturday. So if you wanted to help feed people, Indianapolis is going to get ravaged by this administration. Okay. So this is me doing about as much as I'm willing to do. If this was a protest, I'd be all about it. I help fucking organize shit. I'm already talking about the shit. What do you mean it wouldn't help organize a fucking protest? Like, we need more people. The crowd sizes just need to grow by orders of magnitude. And again, I've said the problem with fucking people is they're not stirred until it affects them directly. And that's the problem with a lack of empathy. Is for many people, you've just got to be aware. There are many people that have not experienced enough in life, and it takes it hitting really close to home for them to actually develop a sense of empathy where you start to look at what is happening to other people and how is it affecting whole groups of people. You know what I mean? Like I coach high school football in the inner city, right? So my athletes are black athletes. So ask my kids how they feel about me, then ask their parents, right? Ask the other kids' parents. How do you feel about this white coach in the inner city? And they'll tell you that man cooked these kids fucking breakfast. That man got those seniors to go to college out of state at HBCUs because they grew up in like a whitewashed charter school around people that don't look like them, that don't care about them, that don't have their best interest. That's what they will have to fucking say about me. Oops. And oh, by the way, I still actually communicate with those kids. And not in some weird way. Like, have a good weekend, have a great week. His finals this week. Hey, focus, make sure you stay locked in, get good grades and shit. It's important to me, right? I make sure that the kids whose lives I touch have a different adult experience where I'm just here to pass word. I'm just here to tell you what best practices are. You're supposed to pick those up and run with those. Okay? So when I sit here and tell you, fucking get 8 hours of sleep, drink water, eat right, exercise, dude, that's the same thing I tell kids. Develop these habits as a young person. You don't have to develop them as an adult. It's second nature to you. Dirk said, "What is your profession?" I work in finance. I have a background in data analytics from Purdue University. I work a lot with poor people and the elderly and the retired, people with money. Why? Yeah. My wife asked me yesterday if, along the lines of, is this what you envisioned when you were little? And I explained, like, since we've got married, and we became homeowners, we've basically been poor. And so I'd argue that our bad financial situation has had a impact on who we actually are. And I got a really good job, and I'm really good at anything I do, but I got a really good job and I'm doing really good. The money is slower than I thought it would be, but it's like coming. And it's going to open up opportunities for my wife and I to just get out of the house and literally have the money to do more than pay the bills and buy groceries, right? And I was telling my wife, we're about to find out who we are. And that one of the things about capitalism and in this economy and how they treat people that are veterans. I mean, think about who I am. No corporation wants to see me coming, right? I'm more accomplished than your CEO, right? I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm not only an Eagle Scout, I'm Order of the Arrow. I was in the Marine Corps Infantry. I wasn't just in the Marine Corps Infantry. I was in the 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines Weapons Company, the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. I was in 0351, which is demolition and small rockets within the infantry, which means they had to send me to demolition school and engineers school. Oh, by the way, I studied data analytics at Purdue, and I work in finance. Certainly not the ending that I thought about I was gonna have. I want to be an NFL / Division 1 head coach. That's what I want to do. So like I said, no company wants to see me coming. No, what they do is they want stupid, impressionable people that they can imprint on their business and just have them become a vehicle for their business. And also take those low salaries and poor benefits and stuff. Fortunately, I'm kind of like the anti-hero. See, what we do is we keep people from filing bankruptcy by offering them a sort of bridge between where they are in bankruptcy and saying like, I could help you with that. Like I could send you to somebody that'll recommend a bankruptcy lawyer to you in your area, but that's a last fucking resort. We're not in a political climate or an economic climate where you want to be declaring bankruptcy right now. Because not only are you going to be hard pressed to reestablish your credit in the next 7 to 10 years, also the economy is about to be trash. The cost of goods is going to be insane. Worked in my garden all day, so we had a freeze warning, so I'm off planting stuff because it keeps freezing. Yeah, Kelly girl, that's one of the one of the reasons I tell my kids to develop good habits when you're young. I want you to be able to pick up your fucking groceries when you're in your 40s. You know what I mean? Oh, you just save the plant till after 420. Huh. Is it stupid for your husband? No. The best time to buy a house was fucking 15 years ago. The second best time to buy a house is right fucking now. It's only going to get worse. Like it's easier to manipulate your credit and put yourself in a position to buy in a couple years. But if you can buy, you want to buy now because they're only gonna fuck with interest rates. Like I said, housing prices are gonna go up. If it was me, I would cap interest rates at like on houses at like 3.5. Whatever I have, everybody else can have. You know what I mean? On a mortgage. And I would want the VA home loan program to apply to everybody. With the stipulations are you just have to have a 650 and 1% down, and I think that's a more achievable goal. And if we half interest and make homes more affordable for everyone, we'll have more of our homes get purchased by American citizens and lived in by American citizens. I think we all deserve better. and we should want better for each other. And politically, like when we get into positions of power, you want to improve the lives of your constituents. Taking away Social Security, SNAP, Medicaid, Medicare, this kills people. Straight up. People die. Muerte. Like straight out of the TikTok shop. There's no sugarcoating that. A lot of people say, oh, they'll just tighten their fucking belts and shit and pull themselves up by their bootstraps. No, that's what they've been telling you. And in case you were stupid and never actually thought about it, you can't. You can't actually. You can't actually pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I, apparently, nobody's ever told you, but it's actually fucking impossible to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And if you want to try from any seated position, put your hands on your untied shoelaces and try to stand up from any seated position. And you will realize you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's the dumbest shit you've ever heard in your life. When people say tighten your belt, that just means they want you to starve. For what other reason would you tighten your belt? I don't want my belt to be more restrictive. What reason would I have to tighten my belt? Oh, you mean if I've lost muscle mass because I'm starving? And I think ultimately this Curtis Yarvin, this blogger, no bitch getting. This is what happens with a lifetime of no pussy. A blogger is the reason that this administration's doing what it's doing. Because a bunch of billionaires that they don't think there's a God either, and so they're just looking for somebody that says a lot of stuff they agree with, and they'll follow them to the end of the earth. It's just like Jesus, right? Except Curtis Yarvin's a fucking blogger that is an accelerationist. He believes that the people that are in positions of power should use their immense wealth to accelerate us to the end times, to get us there faster. Because the people that have the money and the power, right, they could help reestablish society, not the people that did the labor. Jesus was woke, if you believe. That was the funny thing about Jesus, Joanne. I grew up in the Methodist church, and I was always like a really big fan of Jesus, right? Who isn't? And I actually got confirmed in the Methodist church. And you know what the problem was? Too many men, too many men along that path had had started to devote a part of themselves to things that were biblical but not Jesus. And I realized somewhere in that 15 to 18-year-old range, I realized it's because motherfuckers couldn't stand to look at Jesus. They couldn't stand to hear him talk. They couldn't stand the fact that this dude was just like really good from beginning to end, from front to back. He played perfect. He was even fucking resurrected. They couldn't fucking handle it. That he was poor, that he was disliked, right? That he was persecuted even. They couldn't fucking handle it. They couldn't fucking handle it. So they had to devote a part of themselves to another part of the Bible. They want to talk to you about the tribes of Judea or what the fuck ever. And I remember thinking along my like becoming what's it called? I think I just said it. Not ordained. Confirmed. Is that what it's called? Confirmation, yes. I went through confirmation in the Methodist Church. And on that path, I met so many people that it was like the the actual words of Jesus turned people away. It turned specifically men, right? Because what it forced you to do was be selfless. And there's so many people stuck in their fucking rat race, working their shit job with shit benefits, shit hours, shit pay. How dare I look to my left and my right and consider the needs of my neighbor? It's like the shit that the things that Jesus said. It was like it was read. Everything except Jesus seems Republican, right? But yeah, when I went to Purdue University, 20 plus years ago, um, the creeps were the religious ones, the weirdos, the guys committing essay, the stalkers. I can't remember what the organization was. It was a big organization on Purdue's campus. Always want to say Lighthouse or Light Keepers or something like that. And it just struck me. It it struck me. Where I was like, I don't want anything to do with this shit. What the fuck? And fortunately for me, a lot of the people that I ended up becoming friends with, like for years, felt the same way. So well, it wasn't like I was the only one that caught the vibe. Everybody else was having a good time. They had plenty of fallout. You'd run into plenty of people that were like, "Oh, I saw you there. Like, what the fuck was going on at?" Yeah, yeah. See, I think what happened was when I was growing up, I got exposed to Southern Baptist Church, where my grandma went, where they like scream, where the pastor screams and cries and speaks in tongue and shit, and like physically challenges other people in the congregation, and like it's basically a rave. Um, oh my god, it's like a rave with shitty music. And I think they were so loud and crazy the whole time. I think it had to do with not drinking water, and they were actually fucking delirious. But, I was a little kid. How dare I just be like, that dude needs a bottle of water and a fucking Midol. What's wrong with him? Like, why is he screaming at us? That's the thing that always bothered me growing up is like, I hated being called a fucking sinner. I'm like a fucking kindergartner, you asshole. What the fuck am I doing wrong? Like, how? Oh, you gotta pray for forgiveness every day because you're a sinner. What did I do? Tying my shoes is like a fucking struggle, dude. What are we talking about? You know what I mean? And there's so many kids that like spent their whole fucking childhood being told that like you're imperfect, you're a sinner, your life is incomplete, you need Jesus. And you're just like, all right, so what's the guy saying? And then you listen to the words of Jesus, and the whole time, the entire time, I'm like, did they read this shit? It seemed an awful lot like the people that were the most fearsome with their faith. It's like you didn't read how. Like, think about this. Imagine growing up a Christian and never washing someone's feet. I didn't say have your feet washed. But imagine like growing up Christian and you've never washed feet. And that's what I think when you see people being like super fucking selfish and greedy. In my head, I'm like, I bet they call themselves a Christian, and I'm willing to bet they ain't never washed feet. There was a long standing thought among the papal in my church that said we got to get back to washing each other's feet in the church, in the Methodist church, in the 90s and early 2000s. You know, they were really talking about, and I've always been more drawn to adults and adult conversation than like what the fuck these kids are talking about. But like the adults were talking about how um, homes have become tribes, and it's like our tribe versus your tribe, and there's not like this community and togetherness and like the supporting each other. Fortunately, like the kids that I grew up with, we fucked with each other. We went to each other's fucking sporting events and shit because we all went to different schools, and whatever like choir competition, whatever you were doing, we were trying to support each other. Unlike our parents, and that's one of the things I realized. Like, I went on a date. There were a couple older sisters, and I liked both of them. I would have dated either of them. And I remember going to pick her up for a date and shaking her dad's hand, and he said something to the effect of like, how many times he and my father have like looked at each other and never introduced each other. Now, I didn't know the answer then, but I do now. My dad was deathly afraid that people would find out who he really is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 25 plus 30 years ago, the Methodist Church, the leadership at a large Methodist church were distraught over selfishness. And they talked about we got to get back to washing each other's feet. And it didn't happen for obvious OSHA related reasons, I'm guessing. That's mostly a joke. Again, I want to make sure that we're passing on the sorts of like places you can find me, right? So you'll catch me on Twitter. I do try to comment, like stuff. And there's two subreddits that I'm talking about on my show. You know what I mean? And that's R50501 and Protest Finder USA. Okay? What I was saying earlier is you got to get in here and you got to talk about continuing to mass protest. It can't just be me, right? It's got to be more than just me. It's got to be multiple people have to get in there and say, "Hey, we got to continue to mass protest. We can't be taking weekends off. We can't be half-assing shit." Okay? Yes, Eileen. Okay? Can't be half-assing shit. Got to be whole assing shit, right? So, enough is enough. That's your protest sign. I like that. I saw they're eating the checks, they're eating the balances. It's fucking great. Don't forget humor defeats oppression as well. Like having a sense of humor. That's one of the things that I've said from the get-go with this is don't lose your sense of humor. Understand it. It breaks a lot of having a sense of humor breaks a lot of negative energies. Um, and understand that like the right doesn't have it, you know. And part of losing your sense of humor is part of falling in line of sort of just, yeah, I guess MAGA will have to work. You know, there's an awful lot of people that since election day have bent the knee, kissed the ring, and start licking fucking boots. And part of that is kind of giving way to your oppressors. You know, there have been people that have said, Jared, why would you get off Facebook, Threads, and IG? You're trying to build a political party. Like, why wouldn't you use that massive platform, right? And I've said, like, until I have the American Socialist Party set up, I'm going to use those last, and I'm also going to use an application called Hootsuite, where I can make one post and it goes up on multiple sites and never actually use the site. Yeah, that's how you do it. So I know there's a lot of people out here um, that are wanting to get more involved, and I think that one of the ways that you should be getting involved here is go on to Reddit, go into those communities, okay? R50501 Protest Finder USA, okay? And make your voice heard, okay? Make your voice heard. It's not enough to take what you're given. You've got to say the thing, say what you want, right? Too many people will just kind of accept. Hmm. Bob's right, as per usual. Good to see you, Bob. Bob said, and they have thin skin, and they can't take humor. Yeah, you know how I know Elon Musk is not the brightest crown in the box? How are you gonna have thousands and thousands of dollars in reconstructive facial surgery and still look like you came from an ancestral set of parents? And Donald Trump's face up close in high def, it looks like the inside of a baseball mitt. Massive fucking pores. There's signs of wear. I think it's a pretty good joke, by the way. You know how I know Elon Musk's not that fucking smart? How the fuck he spend thousands of dollars on facial reconstructive surgery and I still think he's the product of incest? Just look. And again, I'd ask, has anybody ever seen like a straight on shot of Elon? I don't think you have. I think every time it's always like this, or like there's like this some weird head angle where he's trying to avoid looking at the camera. And same thing with Donald Trump's face up close and high def, looks like a fucking baseball mitt. Leathery. Him and RFK. RFK looks like a baseball mitt that a baseball has hit. See, here's what we're doing in Indy. Okay. Shred Project 2025 protest and canned food drive. So, protest in Indy, Saturday, April 19th, 2025. And so We're protesting here. Looks like he just got out of his coffin. You know, JD Vance looks um like a Cabbage Patch Kid mid-career, or like a mid Cabbage Patch Kid mid-career. Like, have you noticed when a woman becomes like a prominent Republican, have you noticed they get uglier? Like, they go from like conventionally reasonably attractive, that's why being a Democrat was so good to you, and then they become like a Republican and they just, what the fuck? It's like when you become a corrupt politician, ugly just chases that shit around, like hops on the back, like, no, 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 you're wearing this. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. It's like when it's like they've made they made bad guys wrong my whole life. They made them like gorgeous and powerful. And the reality is they're half baked. They're absolute trash can people. They talk tough, but they're stupid. And so anybody with like half a brain is either tuning them out, or if they're not smart enough, yeah, all the hate physically changes them. Yes. All of their hate. All of their hate. The hate that's inside of them. Not us making fun of them. So I want to make sure that I encourage you not only to protest. I didn't say you had to be happy about it. But understand, yes, Angie, the outside matches the inside. And a lot of them have like poor health. And it's with climate change, one of the things that's going to happen in the summers, it's going to be really hot. And I think in the next several years, the summers are going to be particularly volatile. And a lot of these people are just not, they haven't spent enough time outside acclimating themselves to increased overall high temps. A lot of these elected officials are exactly those kind of people that are just not prepared. It's a badass, by the way. I shared the link in the chat, but that's a badass poster for the Shred Project here in Indy. Hey, here's this, it's important right here. If you can't go to a protest near you, okay, look, go to this link, okay? There's a QR code on the flyer that you can click on and donate to Indie Food Not Bombs. Okay? Look at this. A rescheduled protest in Evansville, Indiana. 1,000 people showed up. Yeah. And I feel like we don't say it enough, but I want to make sure We talk about it every now and then, that I think that the the global elite are committing a genocide in Gaza, Free Palestine, in effort to give themselves a safe haven to politically exile themselves to. I think that's what Israel represents for a lot of people, particularly in American politics, particularly people that are wealthy. They made their fucking bed and they're going to go lay in it. And I just want to make sure I point out that that place will never be safe. I can't fathom, I can't even fathom a world in which I can side with Israel in what's happened in Gaza. I can't think of a scenario in which I'm okay. It, Israel is justified. They are not. And also, again, I want to point out that just because you know of a Jewish person that is a Zionist and pro Israel does not mean that they all are. No one is a monolith, nor should they be trying to be a monolith. You're not trying to speak for, I can't speak for all white cis males. I know overwhelmingly white cis males voted for this shit. They support this shit. Okay? And remember, if your empathy hasn't been triggered as it refers to Israel yet, remember that the majority of the people that have died have been women and children. Um, and know that the United States, for the record, I don't think we actually gave them money. I think we appropriated money that Israel could give us for old stuff that would then allow us to invest in new stuff for our military. I don't think Israel needs money. I think they need stuff. Um, but yeah, other than that, it is worth saying because there's a lot of people that are fucking delusional and uneducated and they don't understand that Israel is a rogue nation state. If you've ever played Civilization, you know what I am talking about. He actually couldn't have. Bibi is actually friends with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump told Bibi not to negotiate a ceasefire while Joe Biden was in office. That it would make him look bad. So remember, Donald Trump owns the genocide in Gaza. I know it. I know that you don't want to attribute everything to him, but it was Donald Trump who communicated outside of office and told Bibi not to not to ceasefire while Joe Biden was in office. That'd make him look bad. Yeah, a lot of people hold a lot of ill will to the Democratic Party and Democratic Party members that are really ignorant to the actual functioning of an elected official. They're not fucking law enforcement. And we were obligated to Israel, like contractually, and that it is appropriate to demonize them. They're not a country. That's not a place. Israel is not a place. It's an organization. It is largely a paramilitary organization with deep pockets. What is happening in Gaza is a genocide. Saying anything else means you're just in denial. I know that it's hard to wake up every day and realize that, but know that no, your tax dollars aren't funding a genocide. And no, it's not fucking Democrats' fault that it happened. Yes, Jared Kushner worked on it for years since Donald Trump's first presidency. Donald Trump sees Gaza as a Riviera. You also have to remember that Donald Trump has fucking dementia, the mentality of a fourth grader, and he doesn't have no part of his brain function carries empathy. None. And understand that he's clearly getting his marching orders from Elon Musk, who's getting those from Vladimir Putin. And when you don't say it like that, and you're wholly placing this on Donald Trump, he has fucking dementia. So he doesn't remember placing tariffs, lifting tariffs, increasing tariffs. When he wakes up today, it's a blank slate, baby. And he's got shit to do. He has marching orders. Okay? Yeah. Yep. And understand, Donald Trump has been flippant about actual lives his whole life, right? Remember, before Donald Trump was anybody, he got away with being a racist landlord in New York City. He got away with what he did to the Central Park Five. He got away with all this essay against women and little boys. I want to point that out. Okay. And he did say with his whole chest that he could take someone out on Fifth Avenue and nobody'd say a word. So that's got to be a tough way to live, knowing that you put this target on your back. He did this to himself. He wanted this. He wanted all the power and all the money, and he didn't care about what he did to get there. Okay? Remember that in all of this. This is the seat of power that he wanted. And not that y'all need to know that because you wouldn't do that to me. But if we don't regularly interact, you can't expect me to invite you to speak on my show. Like, we're going to have to know each other for a while. I'm going to have to get a vibe check before you're going to talk over me on my shit. Angie said, NATO, come on. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I've been saying this whole time. I hate to say this, but it takes bodies. Attempted stuff, supported stuff, talked about stuff, and stuff actually happened are all very different fucking things. And I just want to make sure that we say it out loud, right? You talk about it, you write an executive order about it until they try to pass a bill about it, it's a memo. And same thing goes for why won't anyone do anything? Why won't anybody interact? Because you actually got to commit a crime for us to do something. I know it fucking sucks. That's the way the justice system works. Remember, this is not that shitty movie. What was the movie called with Top Gun? Not Top Gun, with Tom Cruise. Minority Report. Isn't that what it was called? Where they could like predict crime and stop it? That's not fucking real. Just in case anybody wondered. I can promise you if any actions taken towards a NATO member, right? They've talked a lot of shit about Greenland, right? About invading Greenland, invading Canada, invading Mexico. It's all hooey. They have no power here. They are so much less powerful than we have made them out to be. And I know that that's a tough, tough fucking thing to like hold. That we have let them be far powerful than they are. They have a lot more power over us than they could ever hold. I gotta go to work. Have a good day. Okay? Love y'all. Take care of yourselves. Understand, like, remember, control what you can control is the MO. You do that and you'll be okay. All right?